Welcome back to the show, everybody. Don't be fooled. We're going to hear some comments from Mike Novogratz. That's right, Mr. Former Wall Street venture capitalist and now the head of Galaxy Digital in the crypto space is going to reveal what is actually going on in this crypto space. And there is a price prediction call for XRP to make a 50% upswing. Let's roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Let's start with this one this morning from Michael Val 5 Links. Same old story, same old song and dance, my friend. Coinbase will break apart certain part of its Coinbase.com and app infrastructure in a bid to keep cryptocurrency exchange from going down during periods of high volume. Well, that would be nice. Oh, look, I like Coinbase. It's very user-friendly. I've been using it since, I guess, day one that I got into this space before you could even get XRP on the platform. But I will say that the exchanges going down at periods of high volume has just been, the crypto space has been plagued with that. And we do need to see that be remedied as well as many other things like custody solutions with institutions and whatnot. So let's keep moving here. Steve Forbes, however, says Bitcoin fixed supply limits ability to meet the needs of a growing economy. Cannot replace the dollar. It's too volatile to function as money. Forbes insists that money only works best if it has a stable value. Guess what? Steve Forbes is right, but that doesn't mean Bitcoin doesn't have value. Look, for all the flaws that it may have, there is intrinsic value in Bitcoin that you can transfer it for digitally to one another and spend it regardless of the volatility. But the reality is it does have that value within it that you can do that without reaching through an intermediary. That is value. Now, whether that value equates to $37,000 or more or, is another question, right? But the reality is there is intrinsic value in the asset. What its true value is, it's a conversation for another day. JP Morgan says $100 million day must flow into Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to push Bitcoin above 40,000. I would remind you that for that to happen, that is not consumer investors. That is not retail investment money. That's institutional money. We're going to talk about that more in just a second. Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust says they add 200% more Bitcoin than miners manage to mine. Ooh, that comes down to 2,612 Bitcoins added to Grayscale's trust in 24 days. By the way, that's over 90 million. I think I saved the actual, 97 million plus in just 24 days. Now, take in mind that the piece of news we just looked at before that said that in order for them to, JP Morgan said they need to do $100 million a day to be able to get over that 40,000 mark for Bitcoin itself. Well, Michael Sonishin says the CEO digital asset manager of Grayscale Investments tweeted to the firm raised more than $700 million on January 15th. Seeing increased momentum from Q4. That's a lot. $700 million on January 15th. That was 3 days ago. They raised almost $1 billion that day. That's a good day of business, right? That's a very, very good day of business. Now, looking at this, we see that PayPal's realized that there is something to be had here. Mizuho Securities analyst Don Delev, maybe I don't forget it, I might have messed it up, has forecast that PayPal will earn up to $2 billion in revenue from its Bitcoin business by 2023. This year, he expects that the payment giant's overall revenue will climb 20%. Well, do you think they're going backwards? I would encourage you to remember that in this time of a lot of uncertainty with the Tether lawsuit and the SEC lawsuit against Ripple, and XRP, I would encourage people to understand a narrative that you're about to hear Mike Novogratz give you, and we're going to talk about it. We are in the first inning of a 9-inning game. Now listen to him say it. Don't believe me when I say it. Listen to this clip right here.
Potential pullbacks, about potential corrections. It hasn't happened this time. And since Bitcoin has sort of a lack of correlation with most, what might trigger that sort of correction? How do you prepare for it and defend against it?
Yeah, like it's a $64,000 question. I got a couple calls when it was at 41,000 from guys I invested with literally 6-7 years ago. And they're like, I've been really good at buying it, but I haven't been good at selling it. Is it time to sell? It's interesting. We certainly went parabolic. We had all the markings of a speculative frenzy, right? Volatility spiked to 130, 140%. We had lots of call buying, retail leverage way up, hard to get cash in the system. And so that usually is the mark of a correction. We had a pretty big correction, right, from 41 to 30. What's been interesting is there was a wall of money down buying it at 31.
What did he just say? There was a wall of money buying it down at 31. Keep listening.
And what I would tell you is the institutions who are coming into this space now, that weren't in the space 6 months ago, that weren't in the space a year ago, don't have their fill yet. Not even close. We're in the first inning of a 9-inning game with insurance companies, with asset managers, with the wealth channel. And so I think dips will be bought. It doesn't mean it's going to explode right to 50,000 right away, right? There's still a lot of, price to churn, right? If you bought it at 15,000, you made a whole lot of money. You might want to sell it and buy a car. You might want to sell it and buy a house, depending on how much you bought. And so there always are sellers in markets. But what we're seeing is a transition from retail leverage players into much deeper pockets, much longer holding hands institutions. If you're an insurance company and you buy Bitcoin, you're not buying it for 2 months. You're buying it as a long duration asset with a 4 or 5 year horizon.
That is exactly what we're looking at. And what is happening right now? Exactly what he just said. But what do you see when you're on crypto Twitter, right? Retail investors and consumer investors, they're all panicky, wondering what's going to happen. He just told you what is happening. Institutions are moving on this moment. This is not financial advice from me. I'm just telling you what is actually being reported from Mike Novogratz and what he's seeing at Galaxy Digital. The institutions are moving and taking a position, and he said their appetite has not been filled yet. This does not extend, this is not just to Bitcoin, right? This does extend to the rest of the crypto space. I really do believe that. So let's keep going because there's a couple other great clips in here. Let me move this now to, let's see if I've got this right here. It's at 358. A little more. Okay, here we go. I think this will work. Here we go, right here. Let's listen here because he's going to talk about a question that's asked about like looking in reflection to the gold market and how there's physical gold that's sold and then paper gold products that are sold on top of that asset, and how, if you're not aware, the physical gold market is much, much smaller than the actual paper traded market of gold, as is the growth of something like Bitcoin and crypto. You're going to see these paper products, ETFs, futures, call options, swaps, puts, the whole thing is going to get replicated here in the digital world. And there's a reason why. Let's listen.
So, Mike, I have a supply follow-up question for you then. As you mentioned, 21 million is what all the Bitcoin that are out there. There are already financially settled Bitcoin futures. And when you think about gold, there's more paper gold than physical gold. So there are some concerns over the Bitcoin scarcity, right? And what that does to trading in Bitcoin. Are those concerns warranted? How do you think about that?
Yeah, listen, so like the Grayscale Trust, for instance, right? Barry Silbert's business, it buys Bitcoin and it literally puts them in a vault. I mean, figuratively and literally, and they're gone for good. And so they're kind of taken out of supply. Now they're shares in a trust that trade. Right now it trades at a premium. It could easily trade at a discount if there was an ETF. In so some ways it makes the supply of Bitcoin even more precious, which is driving price. One reason why I never thought Bitcoin would be a currency, right? Fixed supply currencies don't tend to work. They're too easily squeezed. They go up in price by definition as more and more people enter the ecosystem.
Really quickly, he just told you this is a massive Bitcoin maximalist that just told you he has never seen Bitcoin as currency.
We don't want to buy shoes one day with something that's $1 and it's worth $2 the next day.
Amen
so
to
I've
that.
always thought Bitcoin would be a digital store of value, something like gold that people would buy and hold as opposed to transact with, right? There's going to be a lot of different payment coins from, Facebook's new Diem coin, used to be called Libra, to stable coins, lots of people working in that space. I think that will be the transactional currency of the blockchain. And I think Bitcoin will be gold and will just be held, and partly because it's got that limited supply.
And he's absolutely right. I do see that. I mean, again, Bitcoin does have intrinsic value. Does it work as smoothly or as well as the other techs that followed, like XRP? Well, of course not. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have value to people when they see it as an investment product. That's the point he's making there. Now, let's go on to this. And I do believe we're going to see the market mature and see those paper products traded as we develop through the year. He did remark that he does expect to see an ETF possibly introduced over the next year after Gary Gensler gets the position at the SEC with the administration change. And if so, we know that Gary Gensler clearly, in a way, has said that he does see XRP as an unregistered security. It'll be interesting to see how his impact on any of the case will be felt there. Now, let's move to one other last little clip here, which I think is important for all of us to see. And let's try right here is good enough. Now, let's listen to this. And he talks about XRP, Gary Gensler, and XRP being a security. Listen to this right here.
No, not at all. Listen, I think Gary Gensler, first of all, I worked with Gary.
All of these people are tied together. All of them.
At Goldman Sachs in Hong Kong way back in the 90s. He is wildly smart. He's taught a class at MIT on blockchain and Bitcoin. And so he understands the space. He likes the space. He understands the nuance around the space. Listen, Gary he was a tough commissioner at the CFTC. He is really bright. And so there's no pulling the wool over his eyes. I think he's already commented that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, which is,
honestly challenges the whole notion that Gary Gensler is actually bright.
Already law at the SEC. I think if you're Ripple XRP, it's not great news because he's commented he thought they were issued like securities. And so, there'll be some nuance around the different coins, but I think he will be pro-crypto. The last Jay Clayton didn't want to make crypto his issue. And so kind of punted on all the issues for the most part.
He really did. It's a very true statement. And that is where we are. Now, we do have to remember, Mike Novogratz likes to kick XRP when it's down for whatever reason, although he does have a position in it. I've heard him say it before. Now, look, that pretty much sums up where we are with that. Now, let's shift into the XRP for a second, the news of XRP here. So we've got it. Institutional money is moving into this space, right? Now, there's almost 100 million XRP shifted by Ripple, Bitfinex, and Coinbase. It did say that this looked like it was for paying operational expenses or something of that nature for the company. So it's nothing to note outside of that, but I did want to acknowledge that had happened and that much had moved. Here we see from Michael Val filings again, blockchain firm Ripple is hiring a new director of engineering to lead the team to build its open source developer services for its platform Ripple X. Looking here, I just wanted to highlight, and I covered this the other day, but there's a reason that I'm covering it, and I want to share it one more time with you because in this time of uncertainty, where we have this uncertainty, it's in the United States. What about Japan? Oh, no, we have clarity there. No, wait a minute. What about the UK? No, we got clarity there too. Well, what about the Middle East? No, we pretty much got clarity there too. Well, maybe Singapore's an issue. No, we have clarity there too. So the point I'm showing you this news is because they're opening up a new deal, a new corridor for money transfer business between Malaysian corridor and Bangladesh. This is a global decentralized asset, and the world broadly sees XRP as a currency. The issue is in the United States. Do not lose sight of that. That, for me, has been very calming moving through all of this. Now, looking at this right here, Goldman Sachs explores entering crypto market. The possible entrance by Goldman Sachs would be the latest in a broader trend to bring digital currency into the U.S. banking. Well, forget thinking about it or exploring it. They're coming in. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citibank, they're all coming in. And guess who's coming with them? Everybody. That's right. Everybody. Because that's how this works. When you see the Citibank and the Goldman Sachs and the JP Morgans moving in to set up a position in something, especially like this, you know that it is on like you have never seen before. And they're doing it during a time when we're seeing here domestically in the States an enormous amount of negativity hanging over the cloud, or a negative cloud hanging over the crypto space. It's not bothering them. And I can tell you right now, it's not bothering me. I'm stacking my pennies next to their dollars, just like I've done from day one. That's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm going to keep doing until I see them do something different. That's not financial advice. It's just what my approach has been. And here we see from Crypto Bull, he says, Ripple price forecast for XRP getting ready for a 50% upswing as consolidation hits the elastic limit. Let's take a look at this just so we understand what's going on here, because there's an up. There's a down. And we're looking for a 50% call move here on the upswing, looking at the simple moving average. I'm not going to run you through the details, but I will take you down here and say if we don't break above, because charts are of that nature that show leading indicators. And if we don't perform and prove out on that chart that we see it move towards the indicator, then what we see is it fail. And if it fails and it doesn't move to that 50% upswing, we may see it pull back, and it could pull back into the 20-25 cent range. And if a critical support line of 25% gets broken, we could definitely see it break down even lower. And who knows how low it could go then. And if it does, I'm looking for one more last grab, because I'm not seeing the institutions waver. And if anything, I'm seeing them come in and continue to be proactive in setting up a position in this space and look to make some money going forward in the future. And if you really want to know what this is all about and what the legal clarity is so important for, it's this right here. It's about all the money. Everything is running through XRP Ledger. It is a universal highway that helps settle all cross-border transactions across all the different payment networks. You name them, they're in here. That's what this is really about. And that's why that lawsuit is extremely important. And I believe it will eventually go one of two ways. It either gets bumped to the Supreme Court, or it actually gets some kind of a designation from a prudential regulator, not a market regulator like the CFTC or the SEC, but a prudential regulator like FSOC, a regulatory agency connected to the Treasury, has the ability to deem things systemically important financial market utilities. I believe that RippleNet and the XRP Ledger could both stand one of those designations, because it will become so critical to the financial system, not only in the United States, but broadly across the world, that it will be systemically important for it to be held to a heightened prudential supervision and regulation. Now, before we get out of here today, I want to show you this. 2 days from now, there is the link to Lunch and Learn. Ladies and gentlemen, private investing made simple. You must be an accredited investor in order to buy the SPVs of these companies. But I will tell you, you need to be nothing but proactive and join this community and download this free app to be a part of it. That is for sure. And I encourage you to be there and be a part of that. It is always a great opportunity to hear some of the people that are most recognized in this space and biggest investors and creators in this space tell you what they think is going on between now and the coming weeks and the next 3 to 5 years about what is happening in this space and what they're working on. And it is always a valuable experience. So make sure you check that out as well. I will catch all of you on the next one.